हसन नवाज मेफेयर फ्लैट की मिल्कियत के बारे में लाइल्म थे। बीबीसी ने किया सवाल, क्या आप जानते हैं फ्लैट किसकी मिल्कियत है? हसन नवाज ने दिया जवाब, फ्लैट किराए का है, पैसे हर 4 माह बाद पाकिस्तान से आते हैं। फिर सवाल हुआ, क्या आपको मालूम है ये फ्लैट नेस्कोल और नीलसन नामी ऑफशोर कंपनियों ने खरीदा?
You'll be aware, for instance, that the flat that you're living in at the moment in Mayfair was actually named in the Pakistani paper, The News, last year as one of 4 which was illegally bought by your father through various Swiss and offshore companies.
Well, these are things which, comes up every time there is a crisis in Pakistan. These are not new. Why don't people who are actually blaming us for that go to the courts and prove it?
But do you know who owns the flat that you're living in?
Well, that is not the question right now.
Why not? But it's the question, do you know who owns the flat?
Well, it's on a rent. I'm living on a rent basis which comes from every quarter from Pakistan.
You're renting it personally, or the money comes from Pakistan?
The money comes from Pakistan.
From who? From your father?
Not my father. Actually, we have a family business back in Pakistan, which is not been built up by my father overnight. It was built up by my grandfather for the last 50 years since the independence of India and Pakistan.
Do you know who owns the flat that you live in?
Well, actually, I'm not the right person to.
But you live there.
It doesn't matter.
Don't you know who it's rented from?
I'm just like any other student living with his parents. I doesn't necessarily has to know about what the facts and who owns the flat and who pays for the rents and who pays for my living.
But would it interest you to know that the flat is apparently owned by 2 offshore companies called Nielsen Enterprises Limited and Nesco Limited, both registered in the British Virgin Islands and managed by a company in Switzerland?
I've got nothing to say about it. I'm absolutely ignorant.
What is going to happen to you? The rent will presumably stop coming from Pakistan. You'll have to move out of this flat, even though there are allegations that your father owns it anyway.
If I have to move out of the flat, I will just take it as the life goes. I've got many friends, I've got my relatives.
तो देखा आपने 1999 में हसन नवाज ने कहा कि वो किराए के फ्लैट में रहते थे, लेकिन अब उनके भाई हुसैन नवाज ने न सिर्फ इन फ्लैट्स की मिल्कियत तस्लीम की, बल्कि वो नेस्कोल और नीलसन कंपनीज को भी अपनी मिल्कियत बता रहे हैं। फिर भी मरियम नवाज बज़िद हैं कि उनकी बैरून मुल्क कोई प्रॉपर्टी ही नहीं।
अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह पाक लेन के ऊपर जो अपार्टमेंट्स हैं वो अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह हमारे हैं। मैं इस बात को तस्लीम करता हूँ कि उनको ऑफशोर कंपनीज नेस्कॉल लिमिटेड और नीलसन लिमिटेड जो है उनको ओन करती हैं, और मैं आपको ये भी अर्ज करता हूँ कि उनका बेनिफिशियल ओनर जो है वो ये खादिम है।
सेंट्रल लंदन में प्रॉपर्टीज तो दूर की बात है, मेरी पाकिस्तान में भी कोई प्रॉपर्टी नहीं है। मैं अपने वालिद के साथ रहती हूँ।